Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folani. Today, let's look at the acting Inspector General of Police, Adamu, and he's been making some changes. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, formerly FSARS, which centralized everything, has now been adjusted. But first of all, let me just tell you that our guest is Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma, National Coordinator of NOPRIN. NOPRIN is the Network on Police Reform in Nigeria. Thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure, always.
Indeed. So we'll get into the meat of it, but there were complaints about the way SARS, Special Anti-Robbery Squad, went about their business, generally speaking, right? I think people were thinking that they were bordering on, they were really at the very outer edge, shall we say, of legality in the minds of some people. They could almost do what they wanted because everybody reported to the Inspector General of Police. But now that the acting Inspector General has come in on the matter, control has been returned to the commissioners of police in each state?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the FCI, the DIG, FCIG.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll come and look into this, but we have a report. We have a package on the story, so that will give us an overview of it. Stand by, please.
Less than a month to the start of the elections, the police continue to develop strategies for smooth polls. As with previous elections, providing a secure environment for the conduct of the polls remains a daunting task. At this inaugural meeting with senior officers, the Acting Inspector General of Police acknowledges the enormity of the task.
During the handing and taking over ceremony held last week, you will recall that I emphasized in my speech that the Presidential and National Assembly elections scheduled for 16th of February 2019 and the Governorship, State Assembly, and Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections slated for Saturday, 2nd March 2019 are national engagements that will not only tax us, but subject our professionalism and commitment to duty, to national and international scrutiny. The credibility of any election is determined not just by the legal framework regulating it and the conduct of the actors within the process, but by the extent of professionalism and operational competence displayed by the police.
Undertaking the task, the police chief sets out by decentralizing the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS.
While this initiative is being perfected, the operation of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which is currently centralized at the force headquarters, is hereby decentralized.
He also scraps special units such as the Special Tactical Squad.
All quasi-investigation and operation units, including Special Investigation Panel, Special Tactical Squad, or any other such teams under whatever name are hereby disbanded. The DIG Force CID is to overtake and review all cases that such teams are currently handling, as well as official assets on charge to them, and submit a detailed report to my office within 2 weeks.
The police are also devising ways of working with the electoral umpire, INEC, in ensuring the elections are hitch-free. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay then, so there you have it, working towards the election and how it's going to be professionally handled by law enforcement. But then also slipping in some very, very important stuff, the disbandment of bodies like the Special Tactical Squad and the Special Investigation Panel, and of course where we started from, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. All those kind of bodies have now been adjusted. And by the way, we've since been joined by Mr. Tony Ofoyeton, who is a lawyer, and perhaps more importantly for this purpose, no, both of them are important. He's also DG International Institute of Professional Security. So good morning, Tony.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Law is part of it too. Anyway, good to have you. So,
thank you, sir.
Starting with you, if I may, Okechukwu, would you say people, let's go back to what led to this. Apparently there were apprehensions and indeed outright complaints in some instances of the way FSARS used to go about its business, because they used to allegedly operate almost like a law unto themselves. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, under the former IGP, well, in fact, it preceded the former IGP. The SARS, Special Anti-Robbery Squad, had remained a law unto itself. There had been widespread public outcry over the atrocities committed by SARS, ranging from torture, extrajudicial killing, framing people up, confiscating properties of people they are arrested and in the name of armed robbery or kidnapping. And of course, you know that the outcry led to the emergence of the End SARS campaign. End SARS campaign. And of course, the immediate reaction or response of the former IGP and his PRO, first PRO, was that those involved in the campaign were either criminals or people with criminal motives, and dismissed them until the vice president, then as acting president, in response to the widespread outcry, ordered the IGP to initiate some reforms, yes, and then also asked the National Human Rights Commission to begin investigation over the allegations of human rights violations by SARS. Of course, the same day that the directive was issued to the IGP, the then IGP, was the same day that SARS operatives went and arrested, on the orders of the then IGP, the Premium Times reporter, and detained him because he refused to release the source of an information of a report he issued, and then subsequently charged him to court. So following that was also the by-election.
Yeah, but that hardly has anything to do with anti-robbery.
No, but we're talking about the excesses of SARS.
Okay.
The excesses of SARS.
So what I'm saying is that SARS, its name being Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and arresting a reporter, that has nothing to do with robbery.
The point then is that SARS went beyond they were getting involved.
So SARS was able to get involved in that kind of a case.
Civil matters that had nothing to do with crime.
Okay.
Following that was also the by-election in Port Harcourt, where they needed to elect somebody to replace a member of the House who had, I think Ada was dismissed by court. And SARS operatives were seen clearly, involved in electoral violence. So that clearly, shows how irredeemable, this SARS is. And so, the response by the former IG was simply to change the nomenclature from SARS to FSARS, Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and then also, came up with the same initiatives that they had, like providing lines for people to make complaints. Meanwhile, when people make complaints, these complaints don't ever get, attention. Those complained against never get questioned. In fact, what we see is that complainants are turned into suspects.
Okay. Now, coming from you, you work, your NGO works closely with the police network on police reform in Nigeria. Not all of it is negative. There are aspects of it that is sort of positive, but it's like you're something of a watchdog. You're observing, seeing what's going on, and these observations were made by your body.
No, the reason we're actually happy about what the new acting IG has done is that, bringing the operations of the SARS under the IGP, which was what happened, encouraged human rights violations, because these operatives could the SARS could go to Anambra, for example.
Yes. But the point I was making that these are observations that you have made. This is not word of mouth. This
I can't come here and say what I cannot.
Exactly.
I mean,
to Tony, how do you think matters got as bad as that? Because number one, police is your friend. I don't know if that is still in currency. It's like people are encouraged to be secure once you have police. But how do things get this far gone? And now that we have this dispensation, are things going to change? Because sometimes things don't really change.
Well, let me first of all say that I salute the courage of the acting IGP and taking that very extraneous and difficult decision. And I want to believe that he has a plan B, especially with respect to tackling armed robbery.
Armed robbery.
And the fact that he has also brought all this under the jurisdiction of the CPs and the like for proper control.
CP as in Commissioner of Police.
Yes, Commissioner of Police, yes, for proper control and the like.
Sorry,
but
sorry. Why did you characterize it as a courageous decision?
No, you know, one thing there is that they had internally to scrap a section of police as that sensitive. It needs a lot of courage, because whether we believe it or not, they are doing a lot of good work. I agree to the extent that, like he rightly identified, there are excesses. And the excesses were drawn out of two major things. One is unaccountability of every bullet expended and the immunity they enjoy among themselves in terms of cover-up when there's any casualty. Now, if those two things are removed, the police formation as a whole will change. In those days, you remember,
this is the thing of non-accountability.
Yes.
If that can be removed.
Yes. If in those days, you remember, Okuyori, the police you grew up to know were only holding betting. And with that betting, they command a lot of authority and respect.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, you are now growing up to see police with live ammunition against their own fellow citizen. In those days, each bullet you expend, you must account for it. You must also state the reason, because it must be very last resort. If you remember, the training of police in those days were, even if an armed robber is running, you aim the leg, not to kill. But now, even student riots, even political disagreement, you see police firing live ammunition into the people. Now, this is why? Because at the end of the day, nobody asks.
Is what you've just said a fact? Because I've heard chief of police from different areas
explain
to the population
that
we never use live ammunition. But you're saying that in our country, police actually will use live ammunition on demonstrations.
Severally.
You don't know the case of the Shiites?
Severally. That one is even recent. Even students. I was involved in student activism. I was personally involved in student activism. And I saw severally of such. So it's not a matter of, I understand your position as a journalist and the necessity for us to be cautious. But these are obvious facts. Mm-hmm. Obvious facts in public domain. Now, what are we saying? We are not even saying that they cannot bear arms or they can't use it. No, they have to use it in the appropriate condition and circumstances against those when their life is at stake. I hope you understand. Even when a criminal is running, the law did not say you should shoot the criminal to death. You are expected to aim for the purpose of apprehension because that criminal must go through certain judicial procedure before conviction. It's not in your own power to determine or pass a death sentence on that criminal. So what I expect the IGP to do is to look back and say, why did it work in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and we didn't have this type of situation? At what point did we get it wrong? Now, what can we do to make sure that at the level we got it wrong, we are now correcting? And I've told you, when a policeman is obviously and overtly wrong, the day the police start to say, we agree he is wrong, from that day, the psychology of the police will change.
Okay.
The average policeman.
Right now, there's this misinterpretation of the so-called esprit de corps, where people feel that you won't get truthful testimony from a police when it concerns their brother, in arms, unfortunately. Now, okay, Juku, this has been done up to this extent by the IGP, acting IGP. Are you cool that the commissioners of police that they will now report to, that didn't exist before, they were under no supervision because they were under the supervision of the IGP. But now that it has been, by the way, is it returned to the commissioners of police? Were they always in charge before that? So now that it's been returned, are things likely to be better? Because Tony just pointed out some things that they will be revolutionary, and he explained why he referred to the decision as courageous. If abided by, this would give us a totally different police force. The CPs up and down the land, they have what it takes to bring about this realization of this dream.
Well, what obtained, before the former IG centralized the SARS was that every state command had a special anti-robbery squad. For instance, in Lagos here, we have under the state command, there is the state anti-robbery squad. Okay. We also have them at the federal levels, the ones they call federal anti-robbery squad. But what the former IG did was simply to bring all the SARS under one federal SARS, under the operational and administrative control of the IGP through the force, the DIG operations. But of course, there was a CP in charge.
Okay.
Now
before, when you said earlier it was federal, and you explained that every state had its own special anti-robbery squad.
Yes.
So in the case of the federal, that was because of the federal capital territory?
Federal capital territory, like Alabo in Lagos, also has FSARS. Okay. Different from SARS at Ikeja division. I mean, Ikeja, the state command headquarters. Now, what happened? What the former IG did was to simply remove control from the state commissioners, which was why I was explaining to you how SARS operatives under the FSARS arrangement could go to Anambra State, for example, pick up somebody without reference to the Commissioner of Police in Anambra, and may decide to go to detain the person in Enugu for as long as they care, without even reference to the CP Enugu, and they tell you, we report to the IG. And when you complain to the IG, so the only person you have to complain to then was the IG, and the IG was not responding to anything. So what this acting IG has done now is to decentralize and return them to the supervision of the commissioners of police and of the federal capital territory, and then the DIG, FCID at the force headquarters. So what it means is that the commissioners of police and the acting IG has made it clear to the commissioners of police that he will hold them responsible for any misconduct by SARS. Now, this is an ongoing, reorganization. It is not like he has completed what he wants to do with SARS. He's still consulting, and I read the full text of the IG's during the consultative meeting. It's still an ongoing process. Now, what he has done, again, which is good, is to disband all those several outfits that the former IG set up, SIP, different.
Indeed.
And while we are focusing on SARS, these other ones we are committing heinous atrocities.
Let me bring this to Tony.
And I can illustrate with...
Okay, maybe you'll come, because that's something I wanted to bring to Tony that you started on here, and I'll come back to you. Because I was going to bring up the IG in the clip, and for people who have read the full report, the full speech will know, it disbanded things like the Special Tactical Squad and the Special Investigation Panel. Tell me the import of these, Tony.
Well, ordinarily, it would have made a lot of difference if hitherto the so-called Tactical Squad and the Investigation Squad had made the desired impact. They are just mere duplications.
What are these squads, first of all? So that for non-professionals, take for instance the Special Tactical Squad. What is that?
Well, to my own understanding, the tactical squad are meant for specific duties. Specific duty. It's just like when you talk about the special forces.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
They are meant for specific duties. But those specific duties are selective. And to me, they also don't follow the due process, the rule of law. It's just like when you say, like he said,
when you say special duties, I'm trying to understand it, not being professional. Is it like SWAT, special weapons and tactical?
Can I clarify that?
Yes, please.
You know, in the words of the acting IGP, he said that these various squads that were set up by his predecessor were competing for operational space in a manner that was unprofessional, which was why he disbanded them. Now, there was a cross line. Any of them could
do anything
and answered, and they'll tell you they are only answerable to the man who set them up. And I think it was a right step in the right direction.
Okay.
Because
apart from the Special Tactical Squad that Tony is talking about, there's also the Special Investigative Panel.
Yeah. Now, you look at if, for example, the IG gives an instruction that this businessman, go and investigate him. Now, it's not passing through the instrumentality of the conventional policing system. Now, all you need to do is pick him out for special investigation, which would at times run even in conflict with the role of EFCC, with the role of ICPC. I hope you understand. More or less like a duplication. So at the end of the day, whether you believe it or not, you know it or not, a lot of illegality begin to exchange hands, known to only the squad and the IGP.
Yeah, that's right.
Known to only the squad and the IGP, not even, and the victim. So the victim, where are you going to cry to?
No.
Nobody.
That's it.
And these are more or less like different ways of extorting money from, you have the conventional police that deal with the generality of the Nigerian citizen. Then you have special squad that deal with, premium people. Let me just put it like that.
VIPs.
With the VIPs and the like, within the society, Now, those tactical squad, those are the special people they look for. And these are the type of people, politicians, big-time businessmen, big-time clergies, successful businessmen, and the like. They are the people that come under the jurisdiction of these special forces, which you and I know is abnormal.
Yeah, because you would have thought society has just one law.
Very well.
And, but there's an indication
there.
So
you see why I said that it's a bold step. And it's a right step in the right direction, if well followed up.
And the more important thing, I think, is as monumental as this is, Tony said it, that this is big. It's an ongoing process. There still is, it's likely to be fine-tuned. I don't know. You never can tell with organizations like this. The IGP, because we've seen this before in different circumstances where some of them might come back.
Uncle Yori, what I expect the IGP to do as a matter of urgency is to train special people for special role. Train special people, but the most important thing is attitudinal. Skill. To a large extent, police has skill. They have skill. If you ask the police to work, and they know that, look, this thing is official and they must do it, they come with excellent results. But you said the problem is always with the attitude. Well,
I said...
And these are areas that I think the IGP needs to really look at much more than... And another thing is the presumption of guilt. The police should be able to understand what the position of the law is. The police, once they arrest you,
yes,
they put you on the defense. You are presumed to be a criminal.
But the police have lawyers in there.
No.
They have lawyers in there.
Egbon, you and I, we have interacted. We have had our fair share of ugly side of interacting with police. Police is it's my constituency. I have big, wonderful people in the police. But the fact remains that, when you look at the top there, they are refined.
Okay. Mazi in Aruchuku, good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're a good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good
morning.
Thank you for calling.
Honestly, again, the marching order by the IGP is a welcome development. But the question now is this: the authority concerned that they should monitor all these things, because most of the things, or most of the problem we have in Nigeria is that an order will be issued out, but there is no monitoring team. If we don't have a monitoring team, that means the marching order will not work well. In a situation whereby you sit down, you don't get the report, and no action taken, it's a problem. So we want the situation whereby immediately an instruction comes, they must obey. One thing, if you give an instruction, are they ready to obey? That is Nigerian factor, which we pray that it not work. And this is a new man. At least we thank God for his coming, and we pray that God will guide him. All that he's ready to edit with. Must have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Mazi brings up a crucial point, I think, that it's all right for you to say something if you're the top dog, but to what extent will it be followed?
Now, the difference between this acting IGP that I see and the former is that this one recognizes the need for consultation, for reflection. It's not just knee-jerk reaction to directives. Now, he has identified elections as one of the primary challenges that the police have, and has also said it is important that the police operate in a manner as to provide professional service to Nigerians. And now he has set up a special team that will deal with electoral violence, those who are involved in electoral violence. This special team will liaise with INEC. They will be in charge of investigating, people who are involved in electoral violence, and then liaise with INEC with a view to getting them prosecuted. So he's not just issuing directly, but he's also putting structures in place. And like I told you, he has also said that the police, part of what is going on now is consultation. They're going to come up with guidelines on how at the end of the day, when they come up with, the new reorganized SARS, there will be, protocols put in place that will regulate their conduct.
So you expect a swift adherence to the new? You expect that? The new dispensation, that there will be a swift adherence to all of these new policies? Because I think the point Okorafor was making, for example, was that, to the extent that people comply, this is a wonderful thing. But what if there is slowness in complying? Remember in the past, there should be no roadblocks anymore. Those things weren't instantaneous. It took some time. People complied better in certain areas, and then it took its time.
The thing is leadership. It is the body movement of the leadership that determines how the police. And from what I'm seeing, so far, the IG sounds serious.
Okay.
And you see, intellectual content from the information coming out from him, rather than just, mere.
Okay, I got to take a break, but there's a lot more to this, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to phone-ins from out there on different aspects of this particular subject matter. So stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Messrs. Okechukwu Nwaguma, Antonio Foyeton in the House, and we're looking at the Acting Inspector General of Police, his order following his inaugural meeting with senior officers, disbanding, units like Special Tactical Squad, Special Investigation Panel, and SARS itself, Special Anti-Robbery Squad, now decentralized, back in control with the commissioners of police. When you look at the police, the police don't have a problem. In fact, we criticize police a lot, but there are sterling officers in the police. unfortunately, the work can't be done by the sterling senior officers alone. There are a lot of patriotic Nigerian police officers. Because the majority in the police is the rank and file, is that what you call it? The junior officers,
Yeah,
those kind of guys.
That's what they call them.
To what extent does this reach them? Because I'm afraid these are the people who are going to carry this whole matter. The commissioner of police is not going to be at, even though they'll be acting in his name and on his authority, he's not going to be there to be doing the right thing, the professional thing, the correct thing. So to what extent? Tony was talking about training people specially earlier.
You know, like you rightly said, we were just discussing this before. Police major problem, without prejudice to the fact that we have some of the senior officers that may also have some level of defect.
Yes.
But their major problem are those that are the low rank and file, those on the road, the traffic level, those that directly interact.
Those are the PROs of the police. Those are the people see.
Interact with the people. And, you know, because all of them, or most of them, bear arms, and seeing the power of the gun, I think is so intoxicating on them, to the extent that, you know, even look at the way they will talk to you. It's different from the way you see a police officer outside the country, especially in Europe and the like, approach you. At times you don't even know he's a police officer. Unlike here. And I think that the new IGP, these are areas he should concentrate on. Make those that are their PRs, the corporals, the sergeants, the
policeman that everybody sees every day.
Everybody sees every day. Unlike you see, when you attain the level of DSP and above, go and interact with them. They are intelligent. They have the level of humility you can talk about. You also see them, they listen more. They listen more to you. In terms of even fairness, they are fairer. You understand? So you see, it's a different ball game entirely up there.
You're talking about senior officers. They are fairer because those, I don't know how to say it, but those ones are, generally speaking, much more educated.
Can I tell
yes, I agree with you. They are
more educated.
Much more educated,
you know,
more exposed.
More exposed.
They also have a vision for the profession.
Yes.
They have a place they are going.
Yeah.
Unlike those that are, you know, at this level of you and I and all those stuff like that.
Let me, before I come to you, Okichuku, let me bring in Mr. Idahosa in Ajegunle. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Is that Mr. Idahosa?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm Delta, yes. I want to contribute to this new IG.
Well, his new policy.
That it is, hello?
SARS.
Yes.
Okay.
That it disbanded the SARS.
He hasn't disbanded SARS, though. The one that was disbanded is the Special Tactical Squad, Special Investigation Panel, but SARS has just been reorganized.
Yeah, sure, reorganized.
Okay, which one is
FSARS? FSARS is no more. It is now, oh dear, this is why this is important. Which one is FSARS? And you've explained that. Maybe he didn't join us from the top of the program. FSARS.
Yeah, the F there is
federal.
Federal.
And that's what the former IGP did added when the vice president, you know, asked him to review, you know, and we've been commenting on that didn't do anything. You just changed the name. We've made that point before. So here we are, and we're talking about this policy will depend on the police itself doing what it wants to do through its Inspector General of Police. There's no problem, I don't think, with all the senior officers. But how do they now bring all the real, when I say the real policeman, it's because that's the guy everybody sees every blessed day and has become an ambassador, if not a PR officer of the police. How do they get them to buy into this? That, look, my friend, it's not as before. Because you can't argue sometimes with the police. Even though we are asked to argue with the police, especially when they ask you to do something wrong, like give me a bribe, I've heard a police officer say, refuse. But too many Nigerians are in a hurry. They've got an appointment. They don't want to stick to it, and it's too much hassle. So they'd rather just say, okay, here you are. Don't do that. I've heard a policeman say before. And the doability is another matter. Tell me why you're laughing, Tony.
I'm laughing because I had a situation where a senior officer was in a vehicle and the vehicle was stopped and he introduced himself. You know what the policeman told him? He said, "Oga, you don't do your own pass."
Hey!
Yes. He said, "Make we do our own now." A senior, a retired DSP, I'm telling you of not hearsay.
Yeah.
And the man was shocked to his bone marrow.
That the force has become like this.
You see, the whole thing is, once they know that their action, there will be consequences, things will change.
Okay.
But once there's no consequence, it will still keep on going like that.
Mr. George, thanks for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Good
morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, you know, I've been advocating for an overhaul of the police system, where I've also been calling for an external overseer, not somebody from within. This SARS we are talking about now, you ask the police, how did SARS come into place? This was how the police, lost its original function by setting up special committees, special forces within the force again. The traditional function of the police, the ordinary recruit that is recruited, that spends 6 months in the police college, can do it. By the time they started setting up special forces, special task forces, that was what led to the idea of police losing grip of its original function, if you look at it deeply. This SARS, for example, now, where the policeman that is in the SARS division and the regular policeman at the police station, what's the difference? What is it that the SARS man can do that the one at the police desk cannot do? The changes need to be fundamental if we really want to revamp the police. Equip the policeman on the street. They don't even have equipment. If a policeman is standing at a junction and something is happening to him, he doesn't have what he can immediately communicate with his police station. Not to talk of any other thing. So I believe it should start from the ordinary police person, and the restructuring should be total, not just resurfacing. When a new IG comes, they will do quick ones to gain some form of social popularity. Before you know it, everything goes back to its own self again. That's why I've been saying, let somebody who's not from the system come and inject some new ideas into it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Let me bring this question back to the studio. One of the points that you raised, which I've heard criticism that this is a PR stunt, so this won't go down well with everybody. So I've heard, is it Houris or something like that, saying that this is a PR stunt just to sort of, get, so to speak, some likes. Do you think that's perhaps a mean perspective?
You mean what the IG is doing now?
No, the commentary or criticism that it's a PR stunt more than anything else.
I'm not sure I get the...
No, you see, the other thing is that...
there are some criticisms because people will criticize anything.
Yeah.
And so I was scanning to see in all the press if there was any, naysayer. And lo and behold, there's someone saying that this is more or less a PR stunt. Let's get down to brass tacks. So I was wondering...
No, but the truth is that the IG has clearly identified problems and has proffered solutions that people consider...
No, this was said in relation to SARS, being disbanded, decentralized, I beg your pardon, decentralized. Yeah. That it was a PR stunt more than anything else, as if to say there was no injury or danger or harm in the way it was before.
But there was a problem.
So that's
and what the IG has done is an attempt to address that problem. But I wanted to contribute to the discussion about junior officers, why they are the way they are.
And whether
whether they are going to comply.
They would not.
With. Yes. Now, the problem is at different levels. Different factors are implicated. One is the recruitment process and what kind of people are recruited. Because when you talk about senior officers, a lot of them come in as cadet, either cadet inspectors or cadet ASP, and like you rightly said, these are already people enlightened, educated. But the rank and file are people who, a lot of those who are recruited through the regular recruitment process are people who are unfit.
Forgive me, let me come back to this recruitment issue because I don't want to lose Ohi Omeme, who is he's been standing by for a while from Kaduna State. Good morning, Ohi. Ehi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead.
Very good. Please, I want to contribute to the debate concerning the police, to the point made by that guy, Suit.
Okay.
He said that until they start to hold a policeman responsible for expended ammunition, the police can never get out of this rascality in SARS. I agree with him. As a retired police officer, I remembered when you go out on duty, on patrol, and you come and you are given 10 rounds of ammunition, when you come, you must surrender the 10 bullets that we are giving to you. If one is missing, you will account for it. You will make statement. The DPO will write a report, to the commissioner of police. This is what happened. This is how it happened, and this is the person involved. And if you were not justified to use that, bullet, you must go in for it. They will discipline you. In the military, the army does not shoot anyhow because if they know that once you shoot that bullet, you must show reason for using that bullet and you must show the victim. You understand?
Yes.
So, we do not. The police, we got it wrong from that point where policemen were buying bullets from the open market and all that. If they use that, if police give them 10, they will have their own extra, and then
really,
using the bullet anyhow.
Really,
nobody can go there. Yes, that is what is happening.
Police can buy bullets off the open market.
Oh, sure. If you go to the east, for example, during when the kidnapping was at its zenith there, you go to the barracks, you see policemen buying bullets and the rest of them to replace what they have used and all that. And it is so sad. It is so sad. And such officers who are in charge divisions, they don't even care. Some of them don't even know what they are doing. They don't know their right from left. They cannot challenge this boy because this boy, they use this ammunition to go and commit all manner of crimes, bring innocent people to the police station and be looking for money for bail and the rest of them. So we cannot, overhauling of the police must start from the training and then we change all these policemen. As the other man there said, that from the rank of DSP and above, they sound more responsible, they are more respectful, and the rest of them. That is the truth. These are university graduates that are exposed. Yeah. But all those ones that grew from the rank, they are so rude. They are so disrespectful. They don't even know what rule of law is.
That's right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ehi Omeme. And in the course of his contribution, it turns out he knows what he's talking about. Sure. He's a retired police officer.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So back to the subject of recruitment, because you traced it to there, that how people are recruited. There are different levels of recruitment.
Yes.
Those ordinary ones will come in, and then graduates will also come in.
Yeah, and the man who just spoke made that point, the point I was about to make about the caliber of people that are recruited, and it's also the process. A lot of people who are recruited through the faulty recruitment process, because there is actually guidelines for promotion, recruitment, and discipline, but these are hardly followed. Now, anybody can get recruited as, quote, rank and file if you can pay a certain amount of money. And I have said in this studio once that there was a time, massive recruitment drive was embarked upon by the police to make for the shortfall, Now, after a while, a moratorium was ordered because it was found that a majority of those who were recruited came with either forged certificate or certificates belonging to other people. They could not read and write. Now, that is why a lot of our junior officers cannot read and write. They don't understand what. So, and then if you now move up to the level of
and that
training,
kind of a person will actually bear arms.
And when you even go to the level of training, there are people such people are untrainable. You can't train because they don't. All this human rights training and all that.
Let me try Nelson, who's waiting for us in Benin. Good morning, Nelson.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Happy New Year. I've missed you on this show.
Compliments of the season. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. You see, the whole issue of police, I just want to talk about my experience that I had with the federal police that always stayed on the highway last week. I had an encounter with the federal police last week. When you are coming from Lagos, there is a bypass. When you are coming from Lagos to Benin, the Benin bypass, I don't know if you are familiar with that road. So I was just driving along that road to my village, and I saw a roadblock set up by the federal police, and they asked me to park. As an average policeman that is on our own level, not the officers, when they ask you to park, they just expect you to park on the road, and sometimes this results to accidents. So as they asked me to park, I was trying to pull out of the main road. Before I knew it, one of the police officers just shot a gun at the head. And I immediately came down and I asked, why did you shoot this bullet? This is waste of Nigerian resources. I am not an armed robber. You asked me to park. I was about parking and you just shot. What about if I am allergic to bullets, to gunshot? This is... he was saying all sorts of things, trying to claim his right. Then I told him, I said, see, you asked me to park, and I park. But because you feel you have the power to shoot, or you feel when you shoot, I will be more afraid of you. I grew up from Bonikam Barrack. I'm very used to ammunition, so don't think you can intimidate me with the bullet. Later on, he asked me that, okay, bring out all your papers, all my papers are complete. He said, okay, what about for the bullet? No, then I said, go and write a report at the station so that you can account on this bullet that you shot. Then I drove off. Getting to my village junction again, I saw another policeman without uniform, 4 of them, with unbranded vehicle, Audi car. I didn't want to stop because I thought that they were armed robbers. But later on, I stopped. They were searching the vehicle. Later on, one came that, can I see your phone? I said, why would you want to see my phone? Would you want to invade my privacy? He said he has the right to search my phone. I told him, I said, see, the only right you have now, you don't have any right to search my phone. The only way you can have the right to search my phone is to provide me with a search warrant. He said he has the right. I said, my friend, I worked in the police college in Ikeja. The only right you have as a police officer is to protect my life, my property, and my privacy. That same privacy is what I'm supposed to protect. Is that what you want to invade right now? They now knew that I knew my right. Before I said, okay, go. You these Nigerians that you claim that you know book too much. You see, I pity most Nigerians that does not know their right. If I was the kind of Nigerian that does not know his right, I can bet you, Uncle Yori, that I would have been humiliated by those policemen. And I want the new acting IGP to speak on the issue of policemen using unbranded vehicle. Yeah. It is bad because you cannot differentiate them from armed robber on the highway and a police officer. That is just the fact. Thank you and good morning.
I want to thank you very much, Nelson, for calling in from Benin. I am sure the police is listening and watching this and listening to this because they always do. It's one of the ways in which they get feedback. So they're hearing all of these. Not all of it will be, alien to them, but, it's good for them to hear this. And we said the new IGP, it's a work in progress. He has started, he's continuing, he's consulting. And the most important aspect of this is the bottom of the pyramid in the police. That's the widest area. That's where you have the most officers. And they're just going to have to do something to reorganize that. There's no problem, I don't imagine, with something like 2/3 up. You know, that side, right up to the apex, you know, you can take it for granted that they are good. But the broader you come down, you just have to start praying that the kind of officers that Nelson has been talking to us about and that Mr. Ehio Meme was talking to us about, that's where they're going to be. And so we just have to keep on praying. But there's one last caller. I don't know if it's the last caller, but there's another caller. Mr. Adeshino in Ojo, good morning. Adeshino Ojo, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yari. Good morning to your guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Uncle Yari, I want to tell you on record that Nigerian police are one of the best police you can reckon with in UN mission. I'll tell you this because when you see them outside the country for a mission, they are forced to reckon with. They do excellently well. But when you now try to juxtapose it with the types of their performance in Nigeria in the country, you begin to wonder, why do you excel when you represent your country outside another country? And because I can tell you authoritatively, you go and check that people, I tell you, among all other countries' police in the world, Nigeria police are one of the best. But now, this is Uncle David.
Well, thank you very much. I believe I know where this was going. They do excellently well at international fora. How come these guys that are top-notch, flying colors, when they come home, we have all this, we have these programs about, you know, what's going on. I don't know, we've just about almost run out of time, but it seems to me from the guests in the studio and also those at home that this is a welcome development. Mm-hmm. This was expected. The acting inspector general is being responsive because, look, the guy who was there before set it up the way he set it up. It's fair to assume that if he were still in charge, he wouldn't do anything to it. So that this has been done shows that the guy is responsive. But it's a work in progress, and the police has a long way to go. And I think it's also important, which touched on it, that we don't have as many policemen as we need. But I suppose that's the same with every aspect of our lives. We don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough. I think we have enough lawyers.
I think
we don't have enough lawyers.
Okay, I think one thing the IG needs to do is to put in place an effective public complaints system, like the one that the former IGP Arase put in place, the complaints response unit, through which people could send
PMB 822. You remember there was a private mailbag 822.
No. I'm talking about complaints response unit. It's a multi-platform complaints system. People could send complaints through WhatsApp, Twitter, email,
the modern version of those.
And they respond very quickly. And through that way, complaints from members of the public will be addressed, and officers who are involved in serial abuse can be identified and flushed. That way we continue to flush out the bad ones, and then we correct the recruitment system and make sure that only the people who are fit find their way into the police.
Thank you very much, Okechukwu Nwaguma, National Coordinator, Network on Police Reform in Nigeria. And also thanks to Mr. Tony Ofoyeton, DG, International Institute of Professional Security. Maybe I should just have said Barrister Tony Ofoyeton. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.